The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki.
Hello, here I am. Welcome to the show. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. Is this our second one of the week? Yeah.
It is.
We might have something special on it. This may not be the last one of the week. Did anyone understand what I'm saying? That was my favorite thing that I did on F-Boy Island.
Yes.
That I don't even know if it aired, and I've talked about it here before, I think, but it was like, tonight you will face elimination, and we want to know who is going to like. I would just turn in, I would like morph into that voice of like, and we and people would be like, what is she even saying? It was so fun. And I love doing that voice because it gets you out of actually having to write a joke because you just say gibberish. And
Well, it is
although
a
the
joke
jokes
in
were
and of
great.
itself. It's a satire of the art form of reality TV hosts. What it's saying is nothing that I say matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's sometimes with comedy though, like you can just make a funny noise or a funny face and the joke doesn't have to be funny literally at all. But if you say it like, and I walked across the street, like people are like, oh my God. Like sometimes I'll do that with a joke to just give it some crutches to get across the street before it is ready to run on its own because it's not funny yet.
That works for a time, and then if you don't back it up with actual material, you wind up getting backlash. Or
you can only do it once too. You can't get that voice multiple times, and then people catch on, and then they start making fun of you.
Imagine your whole set was like that.
Well, what were you going to say about that voice? Sorry.
Well, like I just remember that Dane Cook got flack for that in 2004 or whatever because he would just, it wasn't really voices. He would say just words strangely.
People just came up with they decided that, oh, here is Dane Cook's trick. Now we're going to reveal it. And so you're not going to be amazed by David Copperfield anymore. Like, here's how this guy is making you laugh. And guess what? Everyone has a fucking trick for every joke. And it was hilarious the way he said things. And yeah, sometimes the tool gets old and people grow accustomed to it and you got to get a new one. But that when it was working, that was Dane Cook's way of like, what's an example of it, Brian? I'll definitely butcher it.
I can't think of a specific one, but he has this Kool-Aid joke where the Kool-Aid man bursts through.
That's hilarious. Because not because of that, though.
That's a great joke.
Because he's just saying the Kool-Aid man comes in and like destroys a person's house.
Yeah. And then he leaves.
And then he leaves. This
like,
giant hole in the wall.
How am I going to explain to my mom that there's a hole? They're going to believe that a giant fruit punch man burst through the wall.
And I think Family Guy did a thing. Like where they did the cartoon of it, where he bursts in. I just have a memory of him like kind of easing back out of the hole, being like, "Oh, sorry, I kind of freaked out. I'm embarrassed."
That's the thing about Family Guy, and curse Seth MacFarlane for doing this, but Family Guy has done every joke that The Simpsons hasn't done.
So and The Simpsons have done everything.
Yeah, if you combine those two shows, there's no jokes left.
Great. You know what? Great. I don't care. You know what? If you find, it's like I was reading a article because I'm trying to be smarter about, like last night I just really wanted to read about, J-Lo and Ben or whatever, but instead I was like, there was something that piqued my interest about a paleontologist, like how paleontologists are guys that dig up dinosaur bones, and women are generally like kind of sociopaths.
Wait a minute,
like
hold on. They dig up women or dinosaur bones?
Women dinosaur bones only.
Ah, yes.
They can tell because they have
Jurassic
smaller
Park,
brains.
They were all women.
Yes. And high heels, and they have bunions from high heels. So they're notoriously like kind of crazy people. And
people who
they're really
dig up
contentious.
dino bones are crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know but it doesn't sound like, to me, I would just be like, oh, that's a really measured scientist who's very meticulous and takes a lot of time with their work. I'm also reading about rock climbers. I'm reading this book that a bestie recommended called The Color of Everything, and it's about a guy who is a photojournalist that covered the world of climbing. I forget his name. I'm such a piece of shit. No, will you look it up? This guy. It's called The Color of Everything. It's a really popular book, and I'm loving it. So to the bestie who wrote to Anya about
Corey
Richards'
Richards'
book. Corey Richards, yeah. He's like this hot dude that was like a rock climber, and then also was in like rehab when he was like a runaway kid. And he had he has a fascinating life, but they are nuts. But so are paleontologists. So I got halfway through this New Yorker article, which I really recommend. It's from like it's from a long time ago, but I was on a subreddit about this paleontologist feud that's happening. There's a New York Magazine article about this guy and another girl who are excavating this site that might be a snapshot of when the asteroid hit the Earth and destroyed all the dinosaurs.
Wow.
Whenever it hit in the Yucatan Peninsula, but it's up in Montana, I believe. And he found this site, and he was like an amateur paleontologist. Like he worked for the University of Kansas as like he was like in grad school there, and
Wow.
he wasn't even like, he was just on this dig. He found this property that this guy had, and he sees all these fish are like in this one sediment of the earth, like a thin layer that was around where that thing would have hit. And he goes in and he looks at these crystals that are like, the fish just look like they're in regular gravel or silt or whatever is deposited there generally during that time, that all the paleontologists are like, yawn, we're used to this. But then he looks at under the microscope and he's like, these are crystals that are the result of an asteroid falling and then shooting like volcanic spewing lava into the air, and then it falling back to earth. It crystallizes and it shed this crystal all over the place. But this article that was linked in the subreddit. So anyway, the New York Magazine article came out yesterday. I was reading the comments of that on the Instagram. People were talking about the article itself, and someone said, actually, the best article about this same guy who's in this feud with this woman over this land. It's an interest. I haven't read the New York Magazine one, but in the comments, this woman said this guy was also featured in a New Yorker Magazine article called "The Year the World Died." And so I go to my New Yorker app and I'm like, I want to read that. Like, that just sounds interesting. The year the world died, all about this, when the asteroid hit, which they only found in 1991. They found the spot where the asteroid that destroyed dinosaurs on Earth and brought about the Ice Age. They found it in the Yucatan Peninsula only in 1991. So, and if you're Christian, disregard all of this. Just go ahead, because so God planted all these mysteries for us to solve and to test our faith. So, in 1991, they discovered this asteroid that tested our faith in Jesus. And but anyway, so this guy, you read this New Yorker, it says it gives you the option for it to like be read to you. I don't know if you guys have those on your.
Oh yeah,
apps.
I love that. I want more of that.
I never do that, but I always know how long it's going to take me now, because it said 63 minutes. I go to read a I go, how long is it? So I scroll and I go,
like a
I think I
book.
can probably do this in about 35. Like, I'm a pretty fast reader, I have to say.
Nikki Glaser's fast at everything.
Yeah,
I am.
She really is.
And I am a fast reader because I've like showed Chris things and we both looked at the same paragraph, and he is very well read, like extremely smart, and he's a more measured person, but I get through it and I gotta say half the time. And it's not
I think
because
it's
he's like
it's
dyslexic.
not that hard to read fast. It's hard to absorb what you read.
Yeah, the
Absorb
recall. How's your
fast.
recall?
It's not bad. I actually got a app on my phone called Elevate that I did a 7-day free trial for, and I was having a lot of fun with it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm learning new vocabulary. It was marketed to me as learning new vocabulary. Are you sick of sounding stupid? Like, it's one of my biggest pet peeves about myself is I can't find interesting words when I want to.
God damn it.
And I listen to
Same.
Sam Harris or even Matt Rogers and Bowen Yang, like on their podcast. They are constantly using really just great vocabulary that isn't like pretentious, but it definitely elevates the conversation and makes what they're saying more interesting. Because they're just putting, that's what's good about using different words, is it will give more meaning to the word you're trying to say. It like peppers it, it seasons it with other feelings that you have.
Oh.
Totally.
So instead of saying sad, you could say another word that I can't think of. Like, so this was the app. It was just like sad, and then it was like type a synonym, and you're like,
morose.
why can't I think of oh my God, they would have loved morose. They would have given you like a triple score for that, because they would have all the synonyms listed, and they go, oh, easy 1, and they give you 1 star, a 2-star, whatever.
Try this app.
But then it started giving me repeat ones within 2 games, like the same words. And I'm
God.
like, I can cheat now. Like, I know you want me to say morose or insidious or whatever.
They just don't have enough of a database.
Yeah, and they need more of one. So I canceled it because I was gonna let it fly and spend $40 a year for this, because I was like, this is gonna be my brain training thing, because I felt it working. It felt like the kind of improv game you were talking about, Brian, that like gets your mind just like bag of fun. It was like bag of fun, but for specific words that you need to express yourself.
Oh my God, I kind of want to try this, because that's one
Elevate.
of my Yeah, I mean, it's the bane of my existence is not being able to recall words, and it strikes me with fear every time
It's
I can't do it
awful.
because I think my brain is starting to decay.
Wait, you think it's getting worse? Decay is a really good word, by the way. Do you think
Yes,
it's
decay.
getting worse, or have you always felt this way? Because I will say that I think mine is also getting worse, but I also think that because I'm consuming people that I really admire, who I know are within my same intelligence, not Sam Harris, and possibly not Matt Rogers and Bowen Yang. They're so intelligent, but I feel like they are at least like I can reach I want to do what they're doing, and I know I could reach it. I just know, and I aspire to that. So I'm kind of like down on myself a lot about it. Is it something you found that you have always wanted to do, or is it slipping away now?
Well, no, I feel like it's related to stress. Like the more stressed I am, the worse my recall is.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the more stressed you are, the more everything sucks.
No, everything sucks. Yeah.
Does anything get better from stress? Your
you
cortisol level is like, fuck yeah, we're killing it.
Well, if you want
You
to
might be
die
able to-
sooner,
Sure.
Yeah, okay, suicide is...
If you need to get something done really quickly by a deadline, stress can be helpful. A small amount of stress
True.
is helpful. It's
Right,
just when
to evade
it
an enemy.
accumulates over time and becomes chronic, then it becomes a huge detriment to every part of your life.
Dude, I was thinking about it, and I know this is so simple and been said a million times, but like, and maybe I said it on the podcast before because I've told a couple people this, but just having the realization of like, why when things are totally smooth do I freak out? It's because we were never supposed to just be calm. When we were on like animals, there's not a single, you're not ever supposed to really feel safe unless you're like, you know, hibernating, or especially us, we was always, if there was ever like a time where you felt like I have everything I want, there was never that time because there was always food to be searched for. There was always hunger just around the corner. There was always something you should be doing. Honestly, it felt like working at a Latin cafe in college. He was always like, you should never have a break. You could always be doing something. And I'm like, that was that. And I was like, but I don't want to wash the menus or what, you know, whatever. But there's always stuff to be doing when you're an animal. And now when we have like time to like, just relax, like that isn't built into our DNA yet. I mean,
think.
but it's
we want
definitely
to filling that stuff with useless, like scrolling on our phones and things like that.
well, your brain wants to do something. It's panicking that if you're lazy, you are going to fucking die because the winter's coming. I mean, it's
Well,
no
You're supposed
wonder.
to have a kid, and then that takes up all your time, and then you don't have any free time.
Well, yeah, having a kid is also that biological urge that comes in. Noah, what were you going to say?
I was going to say it's also a way to appreciate the privileges that we have that people like hundreds of thousands of years ago didn't have.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And at
Well,
the same
yeah.
time, I was going to say we have a lot of cottontail rabbits around here, and whenever I look at them out the window, you just see this rabbit just like constantly just going like, is there anyone here?
It never
is there
gets a
coyote?
break.
And like you could actually see its heart just like
Yes.
pumping, even when he's sitting still in the ground.
They're on
Thank goodness we're not like
edge.
that.
No, yeah,
Well,
we're
yeah, some of us are though. We know people like that.
Right, true.
But Chris, sometimes when the dog sleeps in our bed, he will have a bad night's sleep because the dog will be on him and he doesn't want to move because he doesn't want so Chris will have like a bed sore because he doesn't want to disturb this dog. And he had a bad night's sleep the other night. And I said to Chris, I go, you can't do this to yourself. He's like, I know. And I go, listen to me. These dogs, have you seen our dog? She can be deep in sleep. Like she's running in her sleep, having a dream. Deep in REM, her eyes are going wild. And then a slight the door, she'll hear something out in the door and then she'll get up and like run to the door and then go back over and get right back into that sleep.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Animals don't suffer when they can get rest, they get it quickly. They don't need to like listen to a meditation app. Like dogs can so
We're
as much as they
soft.
are like skittish, I think that when there is rest to be had, they can absolutely grab it in that moment. They don't need
Right.
to like medicate or, you know, find melatonin in nature or whatever.
You can over coddle yourself with these corrective tools to, you know, go to sleep or to make yourself feel more comfortable, and you wind up just becoming soft and weak, and
Well,
you
I don't
just
know about
require. You become soft and weak.
Oh, no,
this-
you're right. You require too many things.
You're just like all of a sudden you need all of these things just
Yeah.
to feel normal.
No, I need a cold room. It has been so hot in St. Louis that my cold room that I don't even want to leave this apartment building because of how cold I can get the fucking room. I mean, my ideal temperature, if I could pick one to sleep with at night, and I'm not joking, we had this conversation over the weekend, 58 degrees would be my
Wow.
deal. Now, it does
Wow.
not get down to that in my room,
That's
obviously.
frosty.
Do you
But
use a blanket?
62 is what I set the thing for, and it will
should
get down to
camp.
62. And yes, a big blanket to get under. I
love
love
that.
it. I love it.
that.
So you
But
need to
it's
be
been
fighting against the
70
cold.
degrees. Yeah, no, you're right. Camping does appeal to me for that, but I don't want it. I want it cold in our tent then.
Yeah. Well,
And I also don't want to get eaten or attacked by a bear in the middle of the night. That's also something
Yeah.
that prevents me from getting
but
like
that'll
a
solve your
foot.
other problem of, you're supposed to be constantly on edge.
That's a good point.
Camping sounds amazing for you.
Well,
All
I'm
these new
open
things.
to it. I am open. I literally am open to it after I went to Kellen's backyard and saw Michigan and was like, I kind of like outdoor. Like this is a vibe. I kind of want to get and just go in that lake and float. But I will say that
Yeah.
I now need a sleep mask. I need 62 degrees. I need
Yeah.
like a comforter I need a top sheet. I will not just sleep with a comforter. Like I need a special pillow that is satin and cradles my face like it's my pillow, and if I don't have it, I really don't like. I'm such a pussy. I need
Yeah.
a big t-shirt and underwear. I do not want pajamas. I do not want. I cannot sleep in long sleeves. I cannot sleep in a thong, and I will not sleep with no underwear. And my sister, when we were in Vienna, did not have any underwear because our bags were stuck or whatever, and she had to sleep with no underwear one night, and she got a horrible night's sleep. And we decided later on, we were talking. She was like, "Yeah, I had to sleep with no underwear." She goes, "I think that's why I couldn't sleep." And I go, "That is why. It's hell to
Yeah.
sleep with no underwear." As
Just out
for
there,
me,
exposed.
Noah's shocked.
Why?
Noah likes it.
You're
I like
exposed.
it.
I don't want my
out
vagina
the
slipping
undercarriage.
around. And for some reason,
No.
when I don't have underwear and I'm sleeping, my vagina gets sweaty, I think. Or it gets sweaty at the, you know, when you think it's like you forget deodorant and your pits start sweating? Like that's what my vagina does when it doesn't have protection. I cannot have a nude vagina. I don't like it. There's not
No.
stuff hanging out. I don't have to keep it all in. That's not what I'm saying.
Understandable.
Yes.
It's even when it's tucked up. I don't
Somehow
like
that one
it
layer of
sweats.
fabric is enough to protect you from whatever is
it's
going to
just-
attack your
it's
vagina. at
obviously
night.
it's not even what's going to attack my vagina. I just feel gross.
Yeah.
get it.
No, yeah.
It's
You don't want that bare fluids and
rubbing-
ass on your
rubbing-
sheets that you're going to
no,
go back.
you don't.
You're not cleaning your sheets every day.
No, I definitely am not.
No.
So that's a good point. But I do recommend reading this article just to get back to it because it just talks you through what happened physically to our planet when it got slammed into by like a 20-mile long asteroid. And it's just
Cool.
like, I just want to see, I'm sure there's YouTube videos of it, but I just want to, it's so nuts to hear what happened. It's like 99.99999% of biological life died on
Yep.
the planet almost instantly. It's like but before that, dinosaurs were kind of, they predict dinosaurs were kind of on their way out. They were almost extinct when the asteroid hit. Isn't that kind of crazy?
Yes.
No arms.
I mean, they could have been going no arms. I mean, and then
They're
there's all this
returning into
discussion
birds.
about well, they had to start over. I know that.
Yeah.
Everything
They
had
crawl-
to start over. There's a big reset.
Well, there were some that survived. They're like very specific creatures that survived, most of them underwater, and then
Yeah,
they became birds. There is one, I believe, there's one.
I'm kind of into this.
There's one type of sea creature that survived. I mean, sharks have been around for a long time, but there's one type of sea creature that has survived since that time.
Really?
Just evolved. Yeah,
Okay,
but I don't remember
didn't
what it
get
is.
through the whole thing, but I am like, I got to read *Sapiens*. I think that's where all of this
Oh,
is answered.
God, that's a
Oh.
real slog.
Yeah, I know. I started.
Read the
was
summary
like,
of
I had to
*Sapiens*.
close stuff.
Woof! It felt like Spark Notes for every single social studies book you had.
Yeah.
Which
No, it's a lot to
Spark
get
Notes are
through.
even too long sometimes. Okay, we got to go to break. I'll come back right back after this, and we're going to talk
Big news,
about
big news.
the big announcement, which I'm sure you all saw, the Golden Globes. Right after this. All right, we're back. It's announced this morning.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I can't. Can
I'm
I just?
hosting the 82nd Golden Globes
Annual.
annual Golden Globes.
Wait, I think I know
National.
what Noah's going to say.
What?
I was gonna say I cannot believe. Okay, here's a little humble brag. I feel like I know a lot of Nikki's secret things that are coming up. I had no idea.
No one knew.
Not a clue.
Jen,
I had
my
no idea
assistant, my
either.
like closest person who's in my calendar, in my like, she's in everything. She didn't know. Emily, my social media girl, she didn't know. She's the one that had to like post, like help me post about it or whatever. And she's like, what? Like no one knew. The only people,
Crazy.
I was just,
Did
I didn't
Chris
want to
know?
lose it, and I'm tired of being a little yapper is what we're getting called. Chris did know because he was in the car when I got the call, and I answered the call. Them knowing he was in the, they were fine with him knowing because they figure you're gonna tell your. It was just my agent and manager, and then and they were the first ones. It was like, I'm probably not even supposed to reveal how it goes down, but if this
and don't.
That's it. The deal is sealed. I mean, can we talk like a little bit about what it felt like to get the announcement and stuff like that?
Yeah, it felt that. Well, I've known about it for a little bit, but I didn't know it was like 100% happening until a couple days ago. But I knew it might be happening and was maybe like 99% sure happening for a little bit, but didn't know 100% until like, yesterday. And then I honestly, the show is January 5th. I didn't think they would tell people till December. So I just thought I had to keep this secret from everyone in my life. And I literally, listen, in the past, I've got booked on things and sorry, Dancing with the Stars. My best friends knew before it was announced on ABC, Good Morning America. You want to sue me now? I don't know. That statute is probably up at this point. I think it's 7 years. Oh shit, I'm still in it. But yeah, you tell people they're close knit, but this is like so big that I was like, I can't. If I stupidly tell the wrong person and it would be my fault. I wouldn't even be mad at them. Like I just can't risk this. It's all up to me to keep this in. So. I didn't tell anyone. Chris knew and my parents knew, but I only told my parents yesterday, and I really put the fear of God in them. Like they weren't even talking to each other about it, and they both knew. And then I whispered it to my sister during a Pilates class, but that was when it was. She was the first person I told. I'm sorry to everyone who told me not to tell anyone. You got to tell your personal family. You tell your family too. And my family, they're in St. Louis. They're not connected to the biz, and they also seriously depend on me making millions of dollars, so they're not going to tell fucking anyone. They know it would jeopardize it, because their kids want to go to college. So anyway, I last night all of a sudden they were like, the announcement's coming tomorrow, and I was like, I literally didn't think it would be till November or December. So it was that's exciting because, as I've said before, the announcement's always like the most exciting part of anything because it's no work. You
just get that announcement.
Chris and I wrote a statement that I had to, because there's a press release and they want a quote from you. So we worked for like an hour on a quote, which was a little long. Like it got to the point where Chris was like, well, let's reconsider this. And I go, I don't think I want to work on this anymore. I think it's just going to have to be good as it is. And that's like an interesting place to hit where you're like,
too deep?
We haven't nailed it. It's not like perfect. It's not like what I would want on my tombstone in terms of a quote, but you have to determine if you're going to be a perfectionist about everything. And it was, you just go, okay, this is a quote that most people won't even get to because press releases aren't really read in full by most people. And yes, I want it to be kind of funny, but like, I don't need to devote more than an hour to this. An hour already seems way too much. And if you overthink something too much, it can get worse. So I just said,
good job letting go.
So true.
Yeah. And he looked at, it was an interesting moment because, we're like creative collaborators, and his MO is to really make something as best as it could be. And I was like, he goes, so I think maybe we send it to this person. And I go, I actually think I'm done working on it. And he's like, but it's, and we just kind of looked at each other like, and he's like, okay. Like he knew I was at my limit, and we decided to move on. But yeah, so that's just the start of it though. And then the announcement went out. And then this morning, the quote on you have to like put a quote on your Instagram, and they have to like, people approve it. I don't know if they approve it or someone was approving it, maybe my team. And my quote was, I like did it this morning. I woke up and they're like, okay, we're good to go with this. And I was like, I hate that kind of. And I like kind of freaked out. And I wrote some friends being like, what's a bet? And then I had to tell that person, hey, I'm hosting the Golden Globes. It's being announced in 1 minute. Can you help me think of a caption? And so we spitballed, and then we just came up with a joke about my tits being golden. And I was just like, okay, why not? You know what? It's an Instagram caption, and it did make me laugh, even though it seemed like the obvious joke. So that's, and then within minutes, text message of like it being posted.
Who's DMing you? Like
the first person to text me, I just want to give a shout out to the first person who must get alerts from Variety magazine on their phone.
Harris.
Actually, she did text me 3 times asking for money in the 30 seconds after it got posted.
Wow.
Nikki, we've asked 6 times now. They're starting to count the number of times they've asked.
Yeah,
they're getting like kind of mean at me. But it was Kevin Clancy from KFC Radio, who is always such a avid supporter of mine. One of my favorite people to podcast with, and just honestly one of my favorite people. So funny, so nice, always been really supportive. I think he's so hilarious. So that meant a lot. And then it was like, you know, who was my agents all on a text together. And then it's like Mike Kaplan, producers I've worked with in the past, Chris's brother, Rick Glassman, Greg Warren, Ari Finling, Jackie Cation, my 2 makeup artists that I've worked with, Travis Kelce's agent, Micah Fox, Matt Rogers. Shout out to Matt Rogers who got my number. I've become such an insane fan of Matt Rogers and Bowen Yang since Las Culturistas. I've always loved them, but it's like I'm getting a little bit obsessive almost. Like,
did you
when
hear
he
Matt
texted me, I was like,
album?
What?
Did you hear Matt Rogers?
Oh yeah, I watched his
album?
whole Christmas special. He's
amazing.
He's so talented. I'm obsessed. But he texted me being like, "It's Matt Rogers," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then I straight up was like, "The only thing I want from this Golden Globes is a chance to maybe present at the Culture Awards next year." And they said, "You're booked." And I don't know if I can announce that, but I think they probably will on their podcast. But I am doing the Culture Awards. I will be presenting there. But which is an award show that their podcast puts on. It's so fucking funny. Renee Cotier, Andrew Collins, Stacy Wardrobe from F Boy Island, Tyler Florence, Emil Joachim, Ryan, my social media guy, a producer that I used to work with at Conan. I mean, the guy, the head of comedy at Netflix. So many people. Brian and Noah, you said nice things. Thanks for posting on your stories. Everyone's just so nice and excited, and yeah, a lot of love.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible cap
Mike
to
Birbiglia.
the year. Mike Birbiglia.
Yeah, he's always a really, you know, there's some people that you always hear from when there's good stuff going on,
Right.
and he's one of them.
great.
It was very
Now
nice.
let's name the people who didn't reach out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let me get to that list because I'm already compiling it. Mom! No, she definitely wrote to me.
What did your parents say? I know they probably weren't allowed to say it out loud, but
My God. They go, Mom goes, that woman just heard you. Because we were like at a restaurant and I whispered, and I'm like, no, she didn't. She's watching the DNC on her phone. She goes, no, they heard. You guys should have seen these 2 people. There's no way they heard. There's no way they would care or even know what that was. They were like actively talking and watching the DNC on their phones at a restaurant loudly. Like they weren't listening. They weren't aware anyone was near them, let alone conversations were happening that they could. But my mom goes, they heard. And then I started getting paranoid and I'm like, no, I shouldn't be. They did not. But she was just like, they're so proud. They're just like, we can't believe it. And then my dad like writes me later on being like, I'm still processing it. So cute. So proud.
It's kind of surreal. I mean, it's one of those things that your parents, like, you probably don't have to deal with this anymore, but like when you're first starting out comedy, you get all these huge successes that are impossible to achieve, and your parents just don't understand what that even means or how hard it was.
See, mine always did.
Oh, they just always did?
Yeah, I'm kind of lucky in that way. I know that listen, they didn't always get it. Like they didn't understand how I was going to make money. My mom's still worried that I'm spending too much money and that that I need a backup plan. Like, but I will say that they always were like, wow, you're opening for Screech this weekend? That's huge. You're driving to the middle of Illinois
Screech,
to get paid for $50 to perform at a sports bar where everyone is mad at you because you just turned off the hockey game. Amazing. Like they were so supportive all along. So
well, okay, so just generically, the Golden Globes, though, hosting the Golden Globes is something that everybody understands as a big deal.
Yes.
Whether you're there's one group of people that I don't know if would understand, and that is Gen Alpha, because they don't even watch TV. So, but other than that, everybody from the ages of 18 to 98. Once you turn 99, you're stop remembering.
I wrote the quote that I was kind of like writing from the heart initially to figure out what I was going to say about this announcement. And Chris is like, because I was trying to write funny. And then Chris is like, how do you actually feel? And I'm like, honestly, the Golden Globes is the pinnacle of like, what I, at least for my career, aspire to, like, of what I'm good at. It is the pinnacle because it is the only night as a host that you really get to lean into being funny and you really get to lean into telling the truth and saying the things about show business, which you revere and you're honoring because it's a legit award show. It's a serious award show that doesn't take itself too seriously. Now, listen, there is a line. And you do have to fucking toe that line. It is a fine needle to thread. But I 100% know that I'm going to thread it perfectly because I do like Hollywood. I do want these people to like me. I don't want to burn bridges, but I also
You want to burn Jeff Bridges.
I love calling out hypocrisy in a fun way that is palatable, because that's the only way you can really call it out these days, by the way. Like, I'm not some pussy who's like, oh, I love Hollywood so much and I don't want to get canceled. I want to say things that could get me canceled, but I'm going to figure out a way to say them where no one can be mad because it's just true.
I mean,
that's what you have to do.
It's the Gervais way. I mean,
Yes.
that's who you study. I mean, he did he's thread that line or towed the line perfectly. Every time.
Now, who knows if that kind of monologue would work in this day and age? Like, it's been a while since he had those big moments, and I think that the culture has changed a little bit. So, especially after last year's Golden Globes, where there seemed to be moments that were truly offensive to some celebrities, and it's just going to be It's going to be hard to do, but it's not impossible. And it's, I talked to the people that chose me for this, and like were really instrumental in making it happen, especially this guy, Jay Penske, who's like the head of the entire thing. And they're just so supportive of what I do. And like it feels similar to when I used to talk about getting hired for F-Boy Island. I remember being like, thank you so much. Oh my God, I can't believe I get to do this thing. Like, I get to host a reality show for HBO. Like, this is the greatest thing I could ever imagine doing. And it really was. And then I remember HBO saying, we're lucky to get you. Like, we're excited for what you're going to do. Like, just do what you want because we trust you and we know that like you're going to kill this. And I was like, wait, you trust me? Like, hold on, I'm supposed to be thanking you and like just catering to you, but they're also like, no, we're lucky we have you. And I feel that same kind of like, it's almost like sometimes when you're dating and you finally meet a person that you're like, you like me as much as I like you. It really doesn't happen until it happens, right? Like, most of the time it's imbalanced. One person is like, wow, I really lucked out. And the other person is like, I'm kind of desperate right now. And he's really nice or whatever it is. But it's rare when both people are like just as psyched for each other. I don't know that it's that common even in relationships. I think there's still imbalance, and certainly not in professional relationships, but it feels that way. And I'm just excited to like, hopefully get to talk to Ricky Gervais, hopefully get to talk to Atina, Amy, Seth, Fallon, Kimmel. I'm going to talk to as many as I can. God. Conan, about hosting these things and what they wish they would have done. Chris Rock, which they wish they would have done, which they wish they didn't want to do, like they would have done. And I just want it to be the best it can possibly be. And I really feel like I have such a good runway leading up to it, so much time to make it that. Like, there's no way it won't be good. I just have never felt so certain about something. I'm sure 2 weeks out, I'll be like, why don't I have more time to, like, this isn't working. Like, that always happens. I talked about it in therapy with Chris yesterday about, like, I've got some big projects coming up. I didn't even tell my therapist. And I was like, I just don't want to have that 2 weeks out meltdown of like, why am I doing this? Like, it might happen because that is a part of me. As I'm learning in my individual therapy, like the part of you that has self-doubt, the part of you that doesn't think you deserve things, don't be mean to that part of you. Just tell that part of you to like go hang out in another room and like scribble angrily in a journal, and they can like slip you notes under the door about how you're a piece of shit, but you don't have to pick those notes up, and you can still feed that thing and like let it live in your house, but you don't have to hang out with it. That thing, that girl that's mean. And she can write all of her notes to you and be mean, but but be nice to her. Don't kill her and punish her, but like just set her up in a way that you like a mother-in-law who's staying with you, that you're like, okay, I got to put up with this for now, but like I'm not gonna pick up what you're giving me, and I'm gonna make your stay lovely. That's how you have to treat parts of yourself. Like this whole family systems, I think it's called Family Development Systems. It's a book that 2 of my friends bought for me in a year called No Bad Parts. I think I got it twice for my birthday, and I've only read like 20 pages of it because it was starting to make me do, journal entries and stuff that I didn't have time to actually commit to. But the theory of it is that there are parts of you that are wounded at certain ages, and you get frozen in time, and that 17-year-old version of you comes out in this circumstance and now the 31-year-old version of you or whatever, and there's all these parts of you, and you have to like call the parts up and talk to them. And like, you just have to be nice to every part of yourself instead of being like, I hate when I'm disorganized. I hate when I am raging at something. Like, you just have to be like, oh, hey, person who rages, like, can you come out and talk to me? And then you have to like talk to it. Like, it's kind of feels weird. Like, it feels kind of stupid to do. And a word that I was going to say, but I'm not going to say, feels a little that. But I was joking. But it's
Wait,
it supposedly works.
I think I know which one.
It's not Ted Lasso.
Okay, well, that's what I was thinking.
Call that again. Yeah. So, Noah, do you know anything about these parts? Have you heard
No,
this
I
stuff?
haven't. I'm really bad with the whole like talking to yourself and
it's the
embracing that
worst.
part of you and writing a note in the mirror and looking at it every day. It doesn't work for me. I'm
No,
not
it
disciplined.
doesn't. And there's other ways to do it. Like there really are. Like this, I think this book, and I forget. I was talking recently about this. Like, you
gonna look it
don't
up.
have to look at yourself in the mirror and go, "I love you." You just have to be like, "Good job," or just be like, "Yeah, like just talk to yourself like a bro." Like, you don't even need to be like, "I love you." And
Imagine
you're
if you
beautiful.
were a bro and your inner voice was a bro and you just had that confidence.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I do it in Pilates all the time. I'll just go, and I've said it before. I go, Nikki, you could do this. Nikki, you got this. I like turn into the CrossFit instructor who's like right next to my face, going, Nikki, you got this. Don't give up now. Like, I hate that person when I'm imitating her in my mind. I'm like, this bitch needs to like know her lane and just focus on teaching the class. You know, you get those teachers that sometimes just get up near you too much and like encourage you when you're like, no, I came here to half-ass it. I don't know if anyone knows those teachers.
I like
sometimes
them.
they walk around the room and like yesterday my teacher kind of focused on me too much. And I was like, I hate these straps. Like I lashed out at her
Oh my
I was like,
God.
I didn't like not at her, but I was just like, I don't want to use them. Like I kept dropping them and she would like pick them up for me because she thought I was dropping them. And I go, I literally hate these. And so I just dropped. And then I was like, oh my God, did she think I was being like, but my adrenaline was so up from holding this fucking lunge that I like kind of snapped. But
fuck the straps. Are you talking about like they're like nylon straps that can make you stretch more?
Oh, I hate those things.
They hurt your hands.
I don't like the ones you put around your knees and stuff. I hate any kind of work with a
those.
ball because I'm too sweaty and the ball will fly out from between my thighs if I press it too hard. Or any kind of like band you have to wrap around because the band always rolls on itself.
Yeah.
Or it just like is in the wrong, or it rubs off my spray tan, or it leaves behind my spray tan on this band that other people have to use at the studio.
The bands
you know
I don't mind. It's the straps that.
What's
they
the
just
strap
hurt.
are you talking about?
The TRX
I'll get it. I'll put it on
ones.
camera.
The TRX
go get it.
straps.
Here's a new thing that I've learned, and I'm calling you out, every instructor, that something, it got around to just say during classes, and it does work. I will say, I know it works, but a lot of instructors are going, you are so strong. You are so strong. And I love it because it's true. Like when we're all in class holding that move, we are so strong, but you don't know me.
These
And
straps.
I could be new to this class. Okay, what is it?
They're just like
I
straps
can't really.
you
You're
use.
frozen.
It looks like a TRX,
Yeah, it's a TRX
a
strap.
T-Rex strap.
You can wrap it around your leg and you can help
Which-
stretch out your hamstrings. And it's just like there's no good way to do it without hurting your hands.
By the way, it is in the paleontology community. There is a divide of people. This is interesting to me. Some think that T-Rex was a carnivore and like attacked and hunted for prey, and the others think it's scavenged.
Wow.
And there was one fossil found that had a T-Rex bone or tooth in this animal's bone. And everyone was like, and they go, this proves that it hunted. And then the others are like, no, it was probably just accidentally scavenging and like hit a bone or something. Like it's like, but it literally is like what they fight about. And like it is, it's like the Dane Cook of paleontology of like, no, Dane Cook's funny. No, he's like, you know, where we're all divided. Although I
Right.
think everyone is wrong if they think Dane Cook's not funny, and I'm sure he'll clip this.
Dane
for something.
Cook is funny. Dane Cook's album and Retaliation and not Vicious Circle, Retaliation and the one before it were some of the best comedy albums of all time, and they literally shaped me and all of my friends' comedic sensibilities
Comedy-
in the same way that Adam Sandler did with Happy Gilmore and stuff like
would
that.
not be what it is today without Dane Cook. He is a major mark on comedy.
It just sucks so bad when people just totally discount the guy's first two incredible albums that like changed the game
And by the
because they're
way-
mad at him for Vicious Circle, which was less good.
You know what he was great on, which I was in the audience for. It's my first TV appearance of my entire career, was the Insomniac tour with Dave Attell and Greg Giraldo, Dane Cook, and Sean. He's dead now. I should remember his name. Fuck, he was so funny.
Oh man,
it was on Comedy Central. Dave Attell, Greg Giraldo, Dane Cook, and Sean. I really forget. He had some kind of condition that, but he was so funny. Fuck, someone look it up. I'm so sorry.
Sean Rouse.
Sean Rouse. I think. Oh my God, this is how old I am. I used to know this guy. This is so embarrassing. Thank God he's dead and can't get offended personally. But his kin, next of kin can, I guess. But he's so funny. But Dane Cook on that special was fantastic. I mean, that was peak Dane. I bet you anything Dane was signed on to do that before he blew up, because all of a sudden he's like one of 4 guys on this Comedy Central special, and he is the biggest thing in the world at that point. And I went as a fan. I bought a ticket and flew to Las Vegas to go to that show as a fan. I had just started comedy, and then we got chosen to fill in seats. Me and Catherine got chosen to fill in seats and got moved up. And they're like, "You're going to be on camera," and the camera's in my face the entire time. I'm like, and then we got chosen to go to the VIP party afterwards and meet all of them.
Hell
and
yeah.
I talked to Greg Giraldo for hours, and I don't remember any of it because I was so fucking wasted.
Starstruck.
One of the biggest.
No,
I was too wasted.
Right.
I blacked out, but I know from blacking out that I was a really I could have good conversations when I was blacked out all the time. I could pretty much be normal and lucid, and seemingly lucid. And thank you. Seemingly lucid, because I was not, because I did not remember any of it and I was wasted. But people would think that I was totally sober. So Greg Giraldo and I formed a friendship that night. I literally talked to him for hours. And I was 21 and I just started comedy. He gave me so much advice. Early in the evening, I got advice from Dane Cook because my friend went up to him and was like, "My friend does comedy and she would love some advice." And I'm like, "Don't do." I was so mad at her, but he quickly gave me some and it was really good.
What was it?
He said, "Do not move to New York or LA right out of college. How long you been doing it? 2 years? Stay in the city you're doing it. Move to a city like Austin or Boston or Chicago, Denver. Get really good at comedy there. Be the best in town, and then move to New York or LA," which is great advice. And I did not follow it. But I kind of did, because I moved to LA, moved back to St. Louis, got really good, then moved back out. But it took me a while. But yeah, I spent all night talking to Greg Giraldo in this booth. And it was not creepy. I remember being like, "Oh, this guy doesn't seem like this guy wants to fuck me. This is honestly an older comedian, just we're having a good time and talking about real shit." He was sober at the time, so he remembered all of it. And I forgot every single thing we talked about. Didn't remember a single fucking thing. I have pictures from it though, and my friend witnessed it. And then he came to Kansas City and worked a club 6 months later, and I was just doing nothing all weekend in Lawrence, Kansas. I wasn't working. Didn't go up to Sanford and Sons, the club in Kansas City, but he was at a different club in Kansas City. And I go to Sanford's on Tuesday night for open mic, and they go, "Oh, I was over at whatever club, Morty's, and Greg Giraldo was asking where you were, asking about you all weekend, being like, when's Nikki Glaser going to drop by?" And I'm like, why didn't anyone fucking call? I was such an idiot. I didn't know he was there. I would have gone up and did guest sets or something. It just sucks. I could have maybe been friends with Greg Giraldo, and I was for one night. But that's why I eventually quit drinking, because that would happen all the time.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
I mean, you who knows where your career would have been if you had done those guest sets with Greg Giraldo. Maybe you would have been hosting the Golden Globes
2 years ago.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. Nothing would change. It's not like I wanted that friendship to be what could my life be? It's just someone's dead and he's one of the best to ever do it. And I have gone on to do the thing that he does, and it would have been nice to have him along the way as a mentor. Not that it's my roast could have been better. It was great, but it would have been cool to have his input along the way. Honestly, I don't even know that I would have been able to have that spot on the roast, because he would have had it. So I'm full of mixed feelings right now. I wish I could think of another word to describe it, but we'll be right back after this. Final thoughts.
I had a success.
What?
I was in Bon Appetit yesterday.
What?
Yeah, I was in
for
Bon
apples?
Appetit. Yeah, for apples. They did it.
Fuck
they did
yeah.
a whole profile on me.
What? A whole profile?
Yeah.
Wait, Brian, can you hold it up? Is your picture in it? Do you have the print version?
There's no picture, and I don't even think. No, it's not on print. It's just on the internet.
Oh, nothing's in print. That's what I'm realizing now. Bon Appetit, Brian Franchi. Okay, I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, they did a whole profile, and this was, I think, the best profile that I've gotten so far on the Apple thing.
You guys. It's called Culture, How One Man Has Dedicated Himself to the Art of Apple Trolling. This comedian created an Apple ranking system so no one ever has to, quote, eat a trash apple ever again, by Margaret Eby.
She was amazing, an amazing writer, and she really got it. She really understood it.
This is only, if to have this read to you, it's 42 hours. No. Fruit is a gamble. Even when you select your produce with care, what's inside is ultimately a mystery. This is particularly true with apples, whose shiny, bruiseless exteriors in the supermarket rarely reveal their contents. I'm going to read the whole thing. Pleasingly tart, overwhelmingly sour, or cloyingly sweet. Will your first bite be snappy or reveal the dread milliness lurking within? Luckily, a hero helping sort through the endless varietals of apples and their potential pitfalls exists. AppleRankings.com, which Brian, if you don't know, is the author and creator of.
Yes.
At Apple Rankings, you can browse through extremely opinionated, often hilarious descriptions of apples, all rated on a scale from 0, worst, to 100, the best possible apple on the market. Each of the 69 apples on the site is ranked on characteristics like taste, crispness, beauty, and cost/availability. There's also a meter for sweetness, tartness, and intensity, as well as categories for baking apples, cider apples, and sour apples. Apple Rankings is an extended comedy bit, but it's also one man's devoted pursuit of excellence in fruit. The website is the brainchild of comedian and cartoonist Brian Franchi, who admits that until 2015 or so, he wasn't even really a fan of apples. If you had asked me then what my favorite fruit was, I would have said mango or grape, Franchi tells Bon Appetit. I would pick up a Red Delicious and it would be a mealy disgrace. It was like I was in Pleasantville and my whole world was black and white. One day at Whole Foods in New York City, he picked up a sweet tango apple. The world went into color, Franchi said. It made no sense that this could be the same fruit as the trash I had been eating. Feeling betrayed by the forces that kept him from the joys of great apples, Franchi decided to start a site objectively ranking them. I don't want anyone to eat a trash apple ever again, he says. Franchi, who also goes by the Appleist, devoted his own ranking scale, which he calls the FRU. F100. F100. And it calls, quote, my legacy. I have nothing else. I have no children. When I die, the only thing that will survive me is the system. The worst rated apples on the site are Newton Pippins, ranked 19 out of 100, described as Long Island sand-filled condom, and, quote, a tasteless hunk of malformed donkey shit that should have been abolished during the reign of George III. King George III. Sorry. Anything below 55 points is filed under category pure shit apples. The worst apples from 0 to 19 points are labeled apple hell. These are further demarcated as not worth eating, horse food, despicable, vomitous filth, and finally, criminal malfeasance. Oh my God, these
bands.
are all
great heavy metal band names.
Horse food, despicable, vomitous filth, criminal malfeasance. That's a great word.
Yeah.
On the other side of the spectrum are the top apples. Sweet Tangos and Honeycrisp are the top rated specimens, described as the Holy Grail, and, quote, injecting its genes into some of the best apples mankind has to offer, respectively. Despite the humor of Franchi's review, his commitment is serious. He has a system. First, he buys 5 apples, tastes one, and stores the rest in the refrigerator for a few days when he tastes them again. What? I didn't know this.
Yeah, no, it's very systematic.
Then 2 weeks later, he repeats the process, trying to ensure that the sample he got didn't represent a particularly good or particularly bad batch of fruit. You are a scientist, my friend. Franchi scours farmers markets for new varieties and keeps up on the latest apple news. He sometimes orders apples directly from orchards if there's ones that pique his interest. At several points in our conversation, Franchi veered into the science of apple grafting and storage, and on the, quote, apple scam in which unscrupulous grocers give the Pink Lady labels to lesser fruit. Crisp Pink. Though Crisp Pink and Pink Ladies are the same variety of apple, to earn the name Pink Lady, apples have to pass a certain quality standard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it goes on and on. So Brian goes on to say, sometimes people write me nasty emails and call me a fraud, but usually people are in on the bit. He pays attention to the comments. I was like, after clamoring from the comments, for one apple, the sugar bee, Franchi upset reviewers by putting an initial score of the 70s. Good, but not great. After clamoring from the comments, Franchi tried the sugar bees again, this time the fresh from the orchard. I was like, you know what? I was a little biased by the horrific bee mascot. I gave it a lower score than I should have. I raised the score. This goes on and on.
It's a
This
long
is amazing,
profile.
dude.
Yeah. So speaking of comments, some of the comments, I've been getting a lot of comments on my website since this article came out, and I shared a couple of them on my Instagram, and I just want to read a couple of the comments that I got.
Yeah.
One of them is, "How about you kill yourself, fucking weeb? Too many stupid retards like you making this world a bigger shithole than it is."
I think they got the
One
wrong
comment.
profile. I think they meant to. Honestly, like, don't you think that person is just copy and pasting that for everyone? Because there's nothing.
I don't know. Well, here's another one.
Okay.
You're a fucking moron and proved it by claiming Fuji is closer to Honeycrisp than Red Delicious. Its consistent mushy texture and absolutely no flavor are one of its major flaws. You maybe should shut the fuck up and never give your opinion on anything, as you're an absolute retard that should be castrated as to never pass on your shitty genes.
Goodness.
So
People are
They
so
definitely read the
passionate
article
about
because they
that.
quoted jeans and they like stole what you were just talking about.
yeah, no, I mean it's kind of like there are some people who make comments like that on my website, which I approve. I go through and I approve them by hand. They make comments like that because they think they're being funny. They think they're in on the bit because I'm so severe about my Apple rankings. They think in response. Now, there's some people who are like that, and they're just not as good at being funny.
Right.
And so they just say,
I
"You're a
forget that-
retard who should kill yourself," and they think that's
Yes.
the bit.
No, you're right. I think that people do that a lot. Like, you know, I talk about sex a lot openly on stage, and people will come up and say really disgusting things about things they want to do to me, which is, there's some truth in it, which these people are probably actually mad at you too, but they
Yes.
deliver it in your way. And you're like, no, you're missing the mark. That's not how that's
Right.
They're just trying to.
Now,
be funny,
every once in a while, there are
guess.
people who will write comments that are vicious, but they're also well written and funny. And those are like, now you're right on the mark. They're like,
oh God, I love when people are funny.
they'll
Do you have
write
any of
some
those?
paragraph,
Any
a
of those?
tome of just like absolute eviscerating me,
Yeah,
but in a
in
great
your tone
way.
though,
Yes,
like
yes.
like they nail it.
Yeah.
No, that's really satisfying when you listen. It hurts a lot when you get a comment that's mean, but it's like precise and well written. And there's just people can be so funny that aren't comedians, and I think obviously we've learned that from the internet more so. Like just people's comments, like different memes that are made, just people on Twitter that are like, you know, that I don't go on Twitter, but I just see tweets, you know, like on Reddit and stuff, and you just go, man, some people are writing the funniest jokes ever written, and they're just like a guy in a car at Target who just thought of
Yeah.
something, you know, before he starts up his car.
But
Like,
you see, the
it's-
key is those people are randomly being funny at points, and the difficulty of being a professional comedian is doing it consistently
Agreed.
over a long period of time.
yeah, it's exhausting, and it becomes not fun when the pressure's on. So it's like you have to find ways to make it fun for yourself, and try to not put so much pressure on it, because it's nothing worse than like trying to be funny. But I will say I just have, you know, my girl Emily reads all of my comments now, and does all of my like it sucks because I want to get back in there. It saves me so much time though to not read comments, and I still read my DMs. And I sometimes late at night will like go see like nice things people have said, and she sometimes is like, "Hey, this person commented this. What should I say?" But for the most part, I don't read any comments, and it's worth it. I just don't want to read mean things. And
Yeah.
yesterday there was something mean said about, of all people, Kellen, the little boy that did the air
come
store.
on.
People, I didn't even like. I honestly, that does. A little boy in a dress does literally nothing for my limbic system in terms of like, this is different. Like, I'm so happy that it signals nothing in me to care or even think that anyone would care. I like that I'm that, you know, used to it, because who the fuck gives a fuck? But people still do. And I forget that. And it's so naive that I don't. And I'm just so grateful. As I said, like yesterday, Emily told me people were saying nasty stuff. So, she's like, I'm just going to delete and block them or whatever. And I was like, yeah, but can you write back to one of them that I just am so glad Kellen got his parents and not you as parents, and that I hope your child is everything you expected it to be. Otherwise, they're going to have a horrible time. And it's true. Like, thank God. And I said this before, like, just thank God. I feel to all the little boys or girls out there that want to dress in a different way than you are expected to dress, and your parents won't let you. I'm so sorry that you could, like, to the centuries of young boys who wanted to wear dresses and couldn't. Kellen is living his best life because of what you had to endure. And it's like so great to see that it's just not an issue. And it shouldn't be, because who is it harming? Literally who? And I just always think
my
about
fragile male ego.
I just don't get it. I just like, I can't
it's
understand.
an affront to my masculinity, and I want to destroy it.
And he's choosing it too, you know, because it's what's in his heart.
Confused and angry.
It's crazy. But I like, no, I was just saying to Chris yesterday, because we were talking about it, and we were like, you know, it does take a really amazing father to embrace that entirely. And Kellen does have an amazing father, and I don't know his mother, but I'm sure it's like a support on all sides, because he just seems to just know himself and love himself so much, and like
lady
not have
lake.
any. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's a lady of the lake, and he doesn't seem to have any. There's nothing that makes him seem like I'm doing something different or weird. Like he's not like I'm special because of this. He just is, very you know,
free.
and that's He just is. There's
it's
no
over
like
too.
we're
It's like
tiptoeing around this or something.
The generations, I think, if you go Zoomer and below, are like everyone's wearing whatever they want. Everyone's got nail polish on if they want it, and I just think this is really just gonna be a non-factor in 100 years.
I'm so glad, because it was a factor even in my lifetime. Like I remember first seeing little like not that he's whatever it is, like kids dressing in a different gender than they were assigned at birth, and being like, whoa, that's different, and kind of being jarred by it. So I've even been in the generation of, whoa, not that that's wrong or something, but whoa, that's different. I'm gonna like, gets my cockles raised. And now I don't feel it at all. It's just so nice that I didn't even think like, can I buy a dress for a boy? Like, is this weird? Like when I was just shopping for him, it was like I was shopping for Poppy. It wasn't even like, and I love that that's the way it is, because all I can say, if you have any kind of like a little bit of hesitation about how little boys or little girls want to act or dress, and like what parents should do, just imagine the way you felt as a little boy or girl and the things you like to play with, and hope to God that you express the same gender that you were assigned at birth. But let's say, like, because I was talking to Chris, I was like, I can't imagine being 8 years old and someone making me wear boy clothes. Like, because of how I felt when I was an 8-year-old girl, and like wanting to play with dolls and stuff. And like, just that's all you have to do is just imagine what that would be like if the way you felt about things when you were 8, if you had to do the opposite.
Right. So if I was a little boy, if I was 8, my parents made me wear a dress.
Yes. How that would feel, because that's what this is a document that you came, like, just run that through your head. That's all you have to do. And then you know exactly how it feels. This isn't a huge stretch of the imagination. That's it. So no one should struggle with this at all, and no one's being forced to do anything. It's just what he wants to do. And man, if the world would be a great place if kids could just be who they want to be, and we didn't, project things onto them. But it's hard not to, and it's hard to adjust to these things.
Not
and
all
I'm not
Some
mad if people are
evil.
having struggles doing it. I just want you to maybe use some of the devices I learned to wrap your head around it a little bit more. But that's all I'll say on that for now. We have another podcast for you this week. Don't think we don't. We usually do too, but we have a bonus.
That's right, bonus.
It'll come out tomorrow. Is that right, Noah?
Yep, that's right.
3 this week, you
Friday.
guys. Lucky you, lucky us. We love doing it. We will see you then. Congratulations, Brian.
Congratulations,
Nikki.
Thank you. But that Bon Appetit thing is so cool. I wish did you post it yesterday? Did it come out?
Yeah, it came out yesterday.
Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna repost it today. I love it so much. I can't wait to finish reading it.
Cool.
Thanks to everyone. I love Paleontologists. Don't be cool. Bye.